Okay, so welcome everyone. Really always so heartwarming to see this beautiful group from all over the world. And our today's topic came literally like yesterday and day before because it's, something that we are starting to really understand. And it's a topic that has been active for years. And maybe I can explain a little bit how it feels because about 3 years ago, I had a session with this clairvoyant, amazing woman from Sweden. And actually, she pointed out to a certain mental field that she felt that I'm carrying around myself, almost like a mental shell, almost like she explained it as an eggshell of thoughts. And her recommendation was to somehow break out of it in order to get connected to the real natural guidance or divine guidance. So I totally could, I could understand the words, what she was saying, but it wasn't really clear how to pierce it, how to get out of it. And actually, I didn't quite understand when I'm in it and when I'm out of it. So I can give you an example how it feels when I was in that field. And what I'd like is that you kind of try to feel at some level, does it resonate? Do you recognize this in yourselves on some level? So the way that it felt, and I had it forever, even when I was living in US, it was there, that I would be doing something that I really like. For example, I'm in the middle of writing some creative writing story that I'm about to maybe make a short movie about. And in the middle of that writing, I'm feeling, it would be so cool to do something else, to go to the bookstore and sit there and maybe have a coffee and get some inspiration in there by reading. And that's one of the favorite bookstores that I had. They had like wonderful armchairs, all this selection of the books. So I go, okay, I sit in the car, I drive 5 minutes to Barnes and Noble, I sit there, I get a book and I start reading, I start enjoying this atmosphere. And all of a sudden, within minutes, I say, oh, well, this is so cool, but I should go back to my writing. So then I would say, okay, well, fine, I'll read for about 15 minutes more, and then I close the book, finish my coffee, and I go back home to writing. So it feels like some drive was always kind of pushing me to be somewhere where I'm not. And it feels inside as a type of a restlessness. So I try to really examine how this works and where it originates and why is it there, because it doesn't seem that it's any of my inner aspects. I worked with inner aspects, inner personalities, but this is not that. It is something that is stronger than them and something different than inner aspects. And also how it presents itself is I really love to be in nature, and when I'm in nature I'm in flow and I'm really enjoying connecting to walking barefoot, uh, enjoying being in between of the trees. Yeah, like looking at these little young frogs that are just swimming in our pond and all that. But that restlessness again shows itself as I need to do something, I need to read, I need to do something else. And it is actually pulling outside of the experience of the moment, so that I go and put myself on the computer or read a book or do something that is disconnected from nature. So that's kind of how I sniff it, that it's there. So I wonder if you guys have anything like this. If you feel that there's never really, that where you are at the moment is not the best place to be, that somewhere else should be better to be. And like, of course, the biggest expression of that is perpetual traveling. So like, okay, we're in Bali. Well, let's go to Thailand. So we're in Thailand. Well, let's try, I don't know, meditation in India. It's like, you know, always being on the move and never really fully being satisfied where we are. So this is kind of how I feel it. So I wanted to see if you guys have similar experiences. Do you feel uh, this drive? And if you're a digital nomad or a nomad, what makes you travel? So let's open up with that. Miriam, yes. Miriam.
Yeah, I'm unmuting myself first.
Yes.
Hi everyone, hi all beautiful people. When you said that, what came up with me, isn't it that it is just following our alignment? Because the moment when you were writing, you, can I say that how I feel? Yeah. So when you were writing and you felt, oh, I want to go, I follow my instincts. I'm going to that bookstore. I read something inspiring so that I can add it to the writing, because you wanted to be in that space. And by reading, by being calm, you felt the next nudge and the next nudge and the next nudge, because we're always following our bliss. We're always going with that flow that you so beautifully described. Isn't it like, yes, we are at peace, but we are always wanting some more. We're always eager to learn something more, to co-create more, to interact more. Isn't it more like, I mean, I can feel content with that, but sometimes following those urges and then going back to nature and then, okay, we're going here and there and then, because it keeps dynamic.
Well, yes. Thank you for the question, Miriam. Well, this what you said, because it follows dynamic, this, let's hold that thought. See, this is maybe one explanation. So let's see how deep we can get into this. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Miriam. Thanks so much. Yes, Christiane.
Yeah, I think it's a fine line between staying in the present and avoiding, maybe, or covering something up. So I know something similar. So sometimes, so for me, it's more like that. There's a fog coming up, and then I just try to do something else. Mm-hmm. And I see that this is a pattern of avoidance. Oftentimes, so it's so what I found out for myself is that there are underneath lying patterns of what is it? It's a little bit of a mindset that I have picked up in my family home, and probably also in my country. I'm German, and but it's also a survival mechanism. So yeah, so I find this topic very, very helpful, because it is something I'm also working on at the moment. So it's very present for me, especially here, having left Bali and staying now in Germany. Yeah, my thought.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Christiane.
for sharing. And it's really, you'll see how it really comes to what you just named. There's a lot of, you have picked up on the origins of that.
Parts of the origins, yeah. Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Uwe wanted to share. Yes, Uwe.
Yes, what you said, Vittorio, is I can totally relate to that. So it's not so much with traveling, you know, but that I go somewhere to do something, like, as you said, having a coffee somewhere, and then have the urge, you know, like to go back to what I have done before. So this is sometimes I have this, not so much with the location, like being here in Bulgaria or being elsewhere, but, you know, like starting something and then realize, oh, I would love to go back to that, you know. I can totally relate to that.
And why do you think it's happening, Uwe?
I have no idea. The reason behind that is actually something I would like to think about more, but maybe realizing when you do something that that you should go back. Maybe you haven't finished. Maybe I haven't finished the other thing before, or maybe sometimes I need a starter, you know, like to go back to that other thing, which was, yeah, which seems then more appealing.
Mm-hmm. More appealing. Okay, so we keep this. It seems more appealing. So Ty next, and then Miriam. Ty.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Evie. Thanks, Victor. So good to be here again. Yeah. When you mentioned that, I don't know if it's exactly related. Mine, I don't see it like stuck to traveling, but can you guys hear me? Because my internet
we hear you well.
Okay. But I remember that always, normally when I'm fasting, I have great ideas and I'm really like, oh, I need to do this and this and that, and I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna do this, and I have great ideas. And once I'm at home, I just like, okay, I think I'm gonna cook something, and then after I eat, I just feel like super lazy and I don't want to do anything anymore. And of course, I'm not fasting, so then I was like, okay. And I realized that recently I've been struggling because I noticed that I have a really strong self-sabotage behavior. So I don't know if it is exactly related to that, but yeah, I've been struggling. This quarantine has been good for this because I realized that I have a big issue with that. So yeah, I don't know. This is what came to my mind at the moment.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Self-sabotaging. So that comes as an ingredient too.
Thank you, Ty. Amazing.
Yes. Ideas, and then something. So part of this, what Victor is sharing, is also when you feel so inspired and you have such beautiful ideas, and right at the moment of doing them, something happens, snaps you out of actually doing them. So it stays in a cycle of perpetual ideas that never really land or never go further than the first page.
Miriam wanted to share.
Yes, hello again.
Hey.
Yeah, for me too, it feels like actually not respecting myself. I do it a lot also. I call it procrastinating. Being now in Ubud, I mean, I love it that there's not so much socializing, but still I can see that when I start something, especially in the morning with the meditation that I want to do and the yoga, 1 hour is gone and I think, oh, I only did like 5 minutes and then I make tea and whatever. So I really feel that I agree with Christiana, that it's a fine line of, are you following your flow or are you following your mind? And the mind is often taking you off the path. As soon as the mind kicks in, then you can say, okay, you know, we're going to distract this flow. The mind is counterproductive. So I feel that a lot. And falling asleep is a big thing for me. You know, yesterday I listened to Thomas Hübel, and he's really my teacher also at the moment, and I love what he's saying. And then when it becomes very like, oh my God, I'm sitting on the edge of my chair and I literally fall asleep. I thought, okay, so something in me doesn't want to hear this, or it's too difficult, or whatever is happening. I have trouble to keep my eyes open. It's incredible. And I laugh at myself and I think, oh my God, stay awake, you know. I just fall asleep, or all of a sudden I have to do something else. Yeah. So yeah, I think the mind is very clever in that to get us off what we actually really feel that is the most creative thing we can do. Yeah. Okay, that's what I want to share.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. This is so precisely. You really beautifully explained it. Exactly like that. Even falling asleep. Exactly.
Yeah, mind will use all strategies he can think of to prevent you from really progressive new things, and create urges to pull you out of what's really essential. Oh, beautiful, fantastic.
So I guess, yeah, a lot of us are familiar with this. So I'm happy to hear it, because, you know, we were wondering a little, is this going to be too out there if, you know, you would be able to actually recognize this? Or is it feeling like, well, I need my freedom and this is my freedom and it is part of my freedom, so I'm exercising it?
Yeah.
But what we are finding is if we have to struggle for that freedom, it means that this is some deep unfreedom
But it's not there.
that is actually much deeper than that superficial freedom to actually move locations.
So it's very tricky to speak about the mind because, you know, we perceive information through the mind. So whenever a mind or its behavior is challenged, it just pulls out the plug and disconnects you from the information or the source of information because, you know, it's very endangering. So when we're speaking about mind or thinking about how our mind constructs are made, you know, we still use the mind to think about them. So it sort of jams it and doesn't really allow to see the bigger picture. So when we think about what is preventing, what is interfering, we cannot think about it because it doesn't want to be seen from the point of view of the mind. So the only place from where we can see is when we extract and elevate ourselves to a heightened perspective, and that's where we can see how our own patterns, you know, join together and form this cocoon of thoughts. And we have identified the sources that mental cocoon, and they will show you a little bit visually how it looks. But to understand that, as Miriam said, unplugging, not, you know, just disconnecting from information that's really essential for the soul, that's the common strategy. And when we know the strategy that mind employs in order to stay, you know, in place and in control, that's where we can start actually recognizing and, you know, slowly getting out of it. The mental field is a frequency through which we interact with people most of the time, and frequency that surrounds us and filters, attracts information, and allows it through or doesn't allow it through.
So we have to actually draw a little bit of a sketch.
Yeah. Okay.
So
can you see?
I don't know if it's visible. No. Maybe it's
too much light.
like this.
No, it's good. No, it's good.
Okay, so
yeah.
You know, we start with just I want to show how we realize that this is forming. So when we're in a state of meditation, normally what we want to be.
Victor, can you just bring it forward and tilt the front of it forward? Like, yeah.
Okay.
Is that better? Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much when we meditate, we are connected through our heart to the center of the earth, Mother Earth, and all the way up to the divine source, which would be like the main source of everything that is. So we would have this direct connection, and in theory, nothing should be in a way. But in a way, what happens is this would be if we are meditating when we were just born.
And this is where we would, as Miriam said, we would follow our instincts and go out in the right moment to come back more inspired and travel to meet new people. We would be in the flow of synchronicities and serendipities.
Yes, but what happens is we are born and then we have first level of information that comes from our parents. And this is the frame number one that frames how things work and how things are supposed to be done. And you are wasting your time. You should be doing this, you should be doing that, and you know how things operate. So one of the level is the family parents. My mother, what she wants, my father, what he wants. How is my mother not satisfied with my father? How is my father not satisfied with my mother? And how that reflects to myself. Then we have siblings, brothers and sisters with whom we form little unions, and we have a third frame that is okay. So this is what we do when we are together. We sing, we play, we do this or that. From our parents, what comes up is their ancestors. So how things were done in their families. Why did my mother choose my father, and she was supposed to marry somebody who her father had recommended, but she didn't? Yeah.
We don't waste food.
We don't wait.
We say hello to people. We give seat.
We lived in the difficult times. You know, any time could be war. We should save and hoard. So that's another thing. And then we have, like Christiane said, nation. Yeah, we are from Germany. We are from Indonesia. We are from Holland. We are from Serbia. We are from Bulgaria. This is how we do things around here. You know, we go and we work. We don't waste time meditating. We maybe have a great job where we don't do anything and we are paid anyway. You know, some of the southern countries or whatever. So it's whatever comes at the level of the nation. Yeah. And then you can imagine. Then we start going to school. Another frame. Then we start having things within our town, village, or city. Then it's our peers and friends. Okay, so you get the idea. We have nailed 18 different levels, 18 different levels of mind maps, how we are supposed to be, what we are supposed to do, including language. Yeah, language, what we can even think of, because our language allows for these notions to even be named. Some languages don't have certain things to even, you know, as a possibility to be expressed, and others do. And then, you know, some of them are egregores, you know, societies that we join, universities, corporation, NLP. Let's not forget all the commercials that we have exposed to since we were kids. Yeah, so that's a big one. Yeah, corporations, NLP, and then I guess Lisa's favorite, NLP of the medical industry. They're telling us, well, there are certain diseases, so you can get those diseases, and if you exhibit certain behaviors where you have that disease and stuff like that. So pretty much we nailed 18 of them. Family, siblings, parents, grandparents, ancestors, religion, nation, town, city, village, friends and peers, egregores, sects and societies, language, culture, music, films or books, media, TV, social media and movies, schools, universities, corporation, and medical NLPs. So 18 different layers that are in a way of our...
Yeah, it's frames of mind. And when we say frame of mind, this is what frames the way we think, and which limits that what we can conceive and think of. It limits our imagination and inspiration to what's possible. So this gives literally the frame to our expression, what we can do, what we can't do. And when we break out of our country, for example, well, we break out of our usual frame of what's expected from us, and it feels more free. Yet they are all encoded on a subconscious level, and they don't just fall apart. They live there forever. And you know, for those of you who are German, you feel a little bit of being a German also outside of your country. For those who are from, you know, South America, you feel that vibe even being in Europe. So these frames are encoded, and they define pretty much everything you think, you do, you want, you say, how you interact, and with whom.
So this is a little bit just to show you what is the path of information. So from the divine comes the source down this elevator into your heart. And then you have to decide what to do on that. So from the heart, the impulse comes into your mind, but then happens all this. So from this, you decide where to go, how to move, how to react. And this is that astronaut helmet that we were talking about in our explanation for this session. You are literally breathing artificial air through this invisible helmet that we have. And then from here, we control where our body goes. So if I have received the information beautiful information from the divine, it comes here and then it says, oh, but I need to be free. My mother said that when I'm free, I travel. So then, oh, well, let me exercise my freedom and travel. And this gets me right out of this alignment at that moment. So that's really a vicious circle that is happening.
Yeah, so you can apply it to any like decision that you ever made in life, and you can see how the frames have actually adjusted the expression of your choice. For example, if you are in an unhappy relationship and you feel like you should step out of it, there would be the frame of parents speaking, oh, but how you're so responsible, what about children? Then you have a frame of nation, we don't divorce, you have made your choice, you just stick with it. Or you have another frame saying, the social frame, oh, but all my friends are in happy relationship, I should, it's probably my fault that I didn't keep it up to the level. And so on. And then the books that say, you know, give this background of romantic, perfect love where you don't do anything, it just happens. Or the drama movies that have influenced and saying that, you know, nothing ever lasts forever. So literally the amount of information that you have in that helmet is from your reference from where to choose the options how to act. And very rarely do we feel something so clearly with the heart that we can straight away act upon it. Usually it's thinking through the 18 frames, how people from your nationality react in any given situation, how people from your age group, background, etc., how would your mother tell you to act. So surprisingly enough, all these frames are active. Like we couldn't believe, literally, we couldn't believe that after all the work we've done, we're still walking with 18 frames, you know, and seeing everything like that. And basically the funny thing is that when we feel that we really resonate with someone, we say we resonate, but what happens?
We are friends. We say we are friends.
Because, and then, you know, those 18 frames kind of bump into each other and some of them snap.
Yeah. So we can say we are friends because
3 of our 18 frames, you know, snap together.
Yeah. So you can as well say we are frames. We are friends. So yeah, we are framing very nicely together.
So basically the friendships, alliances, groups of people and whatnot are formed if many or the most important frames of 2 or more people match.
Click together.
So that you then act out of a common framework. And so those decisions actually, you know, are not questioned then by the frame of the other. How do we do things here?
Very obvious nations, you know, like we are Austrians, we are Germans, we are, you know, Czechs, Slovaks, whatever.
For Europeans, it's more easy to understand each other because of that, you know, more or less common framework of how things work in this part of the world. But for example, we have a little example of, you know, a northern country meeting an Indonesian person, yeah, and how those frames actually, you know, almost with a metallic sound clash because of total misunderstanding. Like, you know, the girl would think it's normal to receive flowers, but you know, the Indonesian person would say like, flowers, what a waste of, you know, money. And what do you do with flowers? So,
yeah, it's just for offerings.
Yeah, it's for offerings at the maximum. So, you know, and these things, when those frames, some frames match and some essential frames don't, in long term cause huge misunderstandings. So basically we have not so many choices what to do.
Well, yeah, there are some ways out, and usual ways out, what people do is we are witnessing around. They go and, you know, it's so like stifling that they say, okay, well, let's go and do ayahuasca. So they go and take, you know, like a strong, you want to, yeah, maybe I will draw a nice actual illustration of these ways out.
Yeah, so let's not use too much our mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to show that given this analogy of frames around our head that frame every decision and everything that we do, all through the life they get energized and we think it's us. And that's what Vittorio was sharing at the beginning, like he couldn't really name it, like where come those drives or convictions or anything, because
it feels like free will. It feels like I want to do it, but
yeah.
after a while I feel like I'm being moved by some force that I don't know what it is. It bothers me. I would rather stay and do what I started to do. So it feels like some unknown force. Yeah.
So you will see what about the traveling and how it comes in and why it's usually very handy way to escape.
But you can't even say it.
Yeah. So when this restlessness comes, actually what happens is that you have no more oxygen in that astronaut helmet. Oxygen is running low. It's like a red light blinking and you feel like something's missing in your life. It's stifling. You have no inspiration. Everything feels, uncomfortable. It's time to move. Yeah.
And everything feels uncomfortable. So what do I do? And then I select from one of the choices that my frames offer. And one of them is, I travel.
Yeah, and traveling really effectively loosens, as Miriam says, it loosens the frames, because then all of a sudden your mind gets to interact with other frames of mind, which temporarily, makes your soul feel that something is going on, really some fresh air is coming in.
So give those ways. One way of dissolving temporarily these frames.
But we have to see it. So this is a little human, yeah? Here in the middle. This helmet, the mental field is not in the head, right? The mind is not in the head. It's a field, it's a specific frequency that is around the whole body, yeah? So it is more concentrated. We think from the brain, but mind is not in the head, right? So this mental field with all the 18 frames, yeah, it forms something very, very dense. And we perceive this as our world. We think here is life inside of it, yeah? Because we haven't been given that boundlessness by our parents, and so we just don't know. We presume that this is our given perimeter and that's it. Where actually the real life, so to speak, is just outside that.
It's that plus all this.
Yeah. So here you have inspiration. So inspiration is this volatile feeling that you can't really command. Okay, tomorrow at 8 I sit down and I want to have inspiration. Well, it will come when it will come, if you manage to pierce through the mental field. So creativity also comes here. Then timelessness, boundlessness, omniscience, clarity.
Omniscience, being able to tap into the divine mind and actually have answers to all the questions and have all the universal knowledge accessible to you. It's there when we break out of this.
And clarity, for example, we think that we have clarity if we plan well enough. Well, no, because the planning well enough actually gives us a temporary relief of non-stressing about the future or the program. But it actually, what it does, it stifles. We run on a, bioenergy. We can't run on electromagnetic machine field. But what mind suggests us is connecting to everything else but moment of now, is through the devices or through information. And soon enough, it actually stifles this vital space within. If you don't get the energy from, you know, the, let's say, the real field, your own mental field will extract and dry out that vital energy that is just around you. And that's where, you know, people feel, oh, I need some air, I need to go out, I need to go to the beach, I need a break. Yeah.
Because the energy is here in Mother Earth and in the divine source. When we connect to the sun, when we connect to the earth, this is where real energy comes in. This is true. Nature is true, and our body is true.
So that traveling and, you know, suddenly, oh, I'm so sick and tired of everything, I just take the car and go to the beach and breathe, and then I feel better. Yeah. So this is really when, you know, the vital space is endangered and the battery is blinking low. That's what everybody does, like at least something to get, you know, to look at the sea, to stand barefoot in the grass, something. That's emergency solution. But there are ways how to break out of that mental field, where ultimate solution would be to dissolve it altogether. That's what realized people have done. But the ways to get out of the mental field is, for example, meditation. Yeah. In meditation, you
deep meditation.
Yeah, you don't allow meditation, vipassana, you don't allow the mental field to interfere in that moment. And it doesn't have a hold on us in the moment of now.
And I just need to add here, it's not like I'm sitting and I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes. Vipassana meditation, you are there for 10 days, no devices, no screen time, no writing, no reading, nothing. So it takes first 3 days to even clear that field a little bit, to open up for the source to connect. And then some last days of those 10 days, we have the real connection. So it takes time.
Another way that most of people who have not much time or want to really have a strong experience, it's the plants, ayahuasca, iboga, or other hallucinating
anything that breaks through the field. Yeah, it breaks through that mind field and says, okay, you are disabled, and here are the direct messages, and you cannot escape them. Because I would rather go to Barnes and Noble and read. But no, now you can't. You are disabled, and you have to watch this film of your subconscious mind.
So this is what, you know, Mariam, when you were saying that you're falling asleep when it gets important. So the plants actually completely
doesn't allow you to fall asleep.
Doesn't allow you to fall asleep. And they don't allow you to change activity and do something else. You just have to sit through it.
Like a roller coaster.
So that's the channel, open and through, to see what's on the other side.
But temporary, only while it lasts.
The next option is the flow that we spoke about last time, when you're so focused on what you're doing in the moment of now that it takes you in this timeless space where the mental field doesn't exist and can't even catch up, and you're so merged with what you do, and that's where the inspiration is available and it's happening. But it's another experience that we can cultivate, although it's not given how to get there. Yeah, we spoke about it last time. And well, another very dramatic way to get out of mental field is well, death or near-death experience. So everybody who has had the near-death experience really can, you know, there are a million books written about what happens, big light and big realization, and things are seen from a different perspective. So that is the way to get out of the field, as well as a huge shock. So as you can see, the only thing that can get out of the mental field is either being super in the moment, meditation, flow, and the plants, or something that has stronger energy than the field itself, which is usually, you know, something dramatic. So this is for now what we have as a way to reach the outer way. And usually when we say to someone, you're out of your mind, you know, it's a good thing, because if you're out of your mind, that means you're here.
You're crazy, you're totally out of your mind.
This is the
Great.
best thing that you can actually have. To be out of your mind is the best thing ever. Because that's where you can have those super insights, super inspirations, and a total kind of feeling alive. Yeah. So the difference between being inside or outside of the bubble is the measure of how alive and connected you feel. This is the moment of now, and this is the moment outside of now, future or past or anywhere in between. So what happens to our hearts? Our hearts are actually feeling that, you know, it's more of a here that they want to be most of the time.
Miriam is adding, traveling can make your frame looser. Exactly.
Yeah.
Seeing other people, habits, etc. Exactly. It does. It kind of dissolves them temporarily until they get back to the comfortable, you know, frame structure.
So all these restlessnesses are actually the heart saying, give me more of that, give me more of real, give me more of authenticity, give me more of fresh air. And the mind says, okay, you want something different, okay, let's do something different. And this is the loop that, you know, most of us are getting caught in, that we can't identify what it is that we're really asking. Is it another experience, or is it just, you know, authentic connection to something that is alive, another live human, nature, you know, something heart? Because the heart frequency is connecting live things. Heart frequency is connecting person to person, and person to the nature and to everything that's real. And when we have those, for example, when you fall in love, that's where you're the closest to being in the real, because that heart frequency is so strong, then the mental frames dissolve or like minimize themselves for a moment, and everything seems to be possible. The moment where everything seems possible is that this shell has become almost translucent, and you feel the immense potential that there is to life.
And also what Miriam is adding, that she thinks all this business is also our fear to really dive deeper into ourselves when the wounds are.
Exactly. So the mind will, you know, it really is designed to keep the structures in place. So it will find those techniques and tactics to maintain itself. Self-sabotaging is when you get the inspiration from here, and well, you have to act upon it here. So the energy is not the same anymore, and then suddenly it doesn't happen. When you are fasting, Tai, you know, this is here. From here you feel that aliveness and you're ready to act upon it. But then you come back within the shell and the frame starts speaking, but you will fail, but who will do that, who will need it, and you better do something else, and the diversion starts. Yeah,
we can really call this area comfort zone as well, because this is a comfort of things that we know, and this is outside of the comfort zone.
So what if we could melt those frames one by one, because we did not choose them, we have been given them through our first years of our life, through our first 21 years. So what if we could dissolve the worries of the mother, the rules of the father, the voice of the teachers,
the rules of the nation, religion, all these things that have been put on us without us really asking for it.
Because out of mind doesn't mean that you are careless or stupid or irresponsible. It just means you're a little bit too free for other people's frames. They can't frame you, and that's what's very irritating. Yeah. So when we say that someone's out of the mind, you are out of somebody else's frames. Think about it. So that's why caring about what other people say is nurturing their beautiful frames that are sitting there, even though they don't want them to be there. So that should make caring about what people think less
important.
less important.
And actually, when we understand these mechanics, we are a little bit more relaxed about it. Yes, we will also work on dissolving it, but it's good to know how it actually happens.
So eventually all the 18 frames should be dismantled one by one. And there are ways we're working on them to make it more easy, because of course, taking it step by step, dissolving parents, nation, and one by one, it's possible. But as the mental field is just an energy as anything else, and just a frequency. So there has to be a way not only to peek through, but to wipe it out gradually, completely out of existence. So if you do choose another frame for yourself, well, you can choose it bigger than it is right now, or you can choose to live without the frames. So that this creativity and inspiration and clarity is available to you at any given moment and forever. And on this side, what you might have felt by peaks here and there is the boundless feeling of being alive. Yeah, boundless feeling of being alive. This is what the heart is actually asking for. There are some moments that, you know, the circumstances align and those frames just fade away and the bigger energy breaks through. If you're in presence of enlightened being or some huge divine energy, that's the energy is stronger than the energy of your mental field, and you're just taken by the bliss. And taken by the bliss means that that energy has temporarily put on hold all your mental frames, and you can see reality just as it is. So the boundless feeling of alive, of being alive, is what your heart is asking you every time that it's crying out for, I'm missing something. It's not missing a person or a place. It's missing this feeling alive. And then mind suggests, you know, how you
out
can...
of its limited
competence.
database, yes.
Suggests what you can quickly do about it. Okay, go out.
Travel or go to the bookstore or whatever.
So Eva, what do you mean by alignment? Alignment to what?
I hear the word alignment used in so many different contexts, and I was curious to hear your definition of alignment, because sometimes alignment can be used in context where it is like, okay, it feels right, it feels like it's where we're meant to be. But then sometimes I've heard it also used in a place where when what we are, so that sometimes the let's say the boundaries of the helmet make it that when something is going really well, we bring that it's too well in some way. To bring it back into alignment is bringing it also back into what feels comfortable and what feels within that frame. So depending on, I've heard it used in very different ways. So I would love to hear your definition.
Yeah, I will give my perspective and then you give yours.
I just want to remind you of this. Alignment is actually this: when you are on one line with the divine source, being operated through it and being connected to the center of the earth, meaning that you act as a representative of the divine. But yeah, go ahead and I'll give a little bit more of these details.
So in my feeling, I would call alignment alivement. Yeah, alivement is where you feel the most alive and you know, energetically vibrant. That is alignment, when all of your functions are in the best possible connection. So you are the most alive ever. Misalignment is when something is really not there. Either your your mind is down, your inspiration is not there, the energy is wrong, the body screams.
There's no flow.
So there's something that is not in that alignment movement. I understand that you're saying when something is too good, well, it's like a pendulum. It has to swing back at some point and being compensated by something, you know, different to bring it back to the middle. And that is true, because we're not looking for
static alignment,
like ecstatic joy all the time. We're looking for this happy and boundless being alive, what I mentioned before. That's what we're looking for. Any excess emotions, good or bad, will inevitably bring the opposite, you know, within a short period of time. And that's not alignment. That's, some teachers call it a non-readiness to accept life when you're overjoying or over dramatizing things. It is what it is, and you know, it's at the core of major philosophies and teachings that things are what they are, if we don't give them too good or too bad meaning.
So how it might feel in the body is this quiet contentment and awe of life. So everything seems, you know, those moments and you say, you know, I don't need to do anything else. Everything is just perfect as it is. That's it. It's not like I'm super excited. I love it. I'm super excited. It's not also I am depressed and it's not good enough. It's really this quiet enjoyment and awe. Those are the moments when we peeked through the helmet.
How do you know that you are not sitting in your comfort zone when everything is you're in quiet awe and being happy? You know, interesting thing is that when you're sitting in a comfort zone with all your frames and helmets and artificial oxygen bottles on the back, yeah, if you are sitting and feeling that moment of now and feeling, yes, I'm very, very content, not because everything is good, nothing hurts, yeah, but everything is good just because, you know, I'm alive, I'm here, and the sky is blue, and we have a beautiful flowers out there, and birdies are singing. So when you are happy for no reason, this is a true alignment. When you're happy because nothing hurts or because it's very beautiful, that's the comfort zone.
I will send you a little video that in first 10 seconds conveys this feeling of ultimate, you know, awe and joy of existing that's completely pierced through the mental level. I have it on my phone, so I cannot share it right now, but I'll share it. Yeah, I'll share it. Maybe, well, I'll see how. I'll put it on our, well, I'll find a way to send it to you.
So being in the present moment, yeah, that's exactly what it is. As simple as it sounds, the only place where you can be alive is present moment. And the mental field is everything but present moment. It's thinking about future, it's receiving more information, it's planning, it's agitating. And it's fine as long as you do it while also feeling alive, you know, while also feeling that you're here, you have a body, that body needs to be nurtured, taken out, and being connected to this live energy. Yes, Miriam.
Yeah, I want to come back. I also wrote it, but when you said to dissolve the things that your parents gave to you that added to the helmet, according to me, but I wonder how you feel about that. It's if you really feel the quality that was behind their message, then you acknowledge them, you respect it, and you transform it in another way. And you embody that, what is the quality behind their fear or whatever they were saying to you to give you the boundaries.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
But you call it
what we
to dissolve it, so that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
or is that also what you mean by dissolving? It's not like putting it away, but dissolve it also can be transform it.
Mm-hmm. So there are two different things. So we also thought exactly what you said, and we did it, and we thought we're done with it a long time ago, retrieve the message of the parents, thank them very much, send them away, and we're fine. Yet, really. Thanks to Julie, who brought a little revolution in our mind and understandings, it was hilarious to actually notice that no, we're not done with the parents' field. One thing is that message that they crafted for us. Yes, we are responsible for kind of understanding what it was, what was its place, good. But imagine that you, as an electromagnetically sensitive being, are in a family where the current is given by the parents, mom and dad, and especially you are in mom's field anyways, 100%. So what we call the mother's frame is actually this electromagnetic field of all that she is, with all her wounds, views of the world, and spoken and unspoken things.
And unspoken, that's very important.
So the unspoken things, her quiet dissatisfaction with life, her quiet dissatisfaction with the husband, her fears about the future, about the baby, about herself, her non-alignment to her best possible path, unless we had enlightened moms. We love them for the care that they brought, but we're still walking around with the frame of who they are in spoken and non-spoken ways. And that is something that doesn't belong to us at all and is not needed, because we have our own, electromagnetic field and destiny and way to follow. So it has no reason to hang on there.
So with parents, as well as all these 18 layers, we are not saying that they are all always bad. We actually needed part of that information. We needed to learn the language in order to speak. We needed to go to school to learn some things, but we are talking about how to dissolve excess stuff that doesn't serve us. So from parents, of course, we got so many good things, but what we are trying, and these good things have been built into ourselves already. So we carry them anyway. What we want to dissolve is static. It's the damaging part of the interaction. And invariably it was there. And it's like, it's such hilarious amount of stuff that we carry from the parents. We have just done this work with Julie the other day, and we saw at which level we are projecting our unconscious, subconscious dissatisfactions of both of our parents to our partners and friends.
And without that, we can identify, because it comes from that unspoken field that was imprinted in us. So Daniel says, okay, are we not just adding layers to each other's helmets right now? Yes, we are, but as the mind for now is the only tool to understand the mind. So this is the way to at least put some structure and understanding in what's possible, what's out there. Because ultimately we will only feel the reality once we truly live from the heart and heart only, and in the present moment. But we have to somehow get there. And sometimes information really helps to take better decisions.
And exactly, Daniel, we have to be super careful what information we receive in, because it's like food. What food do you eat and what is going to become part of your persona? So you can eat completely damaging information. So being very discerning which information you consume, what we are trying to do here is to add information that is going to simplify life, and it is going to get us very close back to the alignment. This is our goal. And an enlightened person would find this boring. They've already been there. But somebody who has not yet understood these mechanisms might find it useful. So you see, it's not one answer fits all. So it really depends where you are in life.
So we're mainly sharing this with you because we really care about we saw what the difference it makes for us, for example, to understand that that you know, I know Victor's mother's subtle field is actually working on me and making me act in a certain way and reflect certain things. So it's fantastic. As soon as I got it, I'm like, wow! It took so long to actually put the words on something that was unspoken and turning around and creating more and more frustration. So sometimes understanding that what's the origin of thing makes us, you know, take a step back, calm down on many things, and start progressively, you know, dealing with it. And as Lisa says, that this is dissonance in the field, which we tune into resonant state. Yes, exactly. So it's a frequency that is resonating on different, yeah, on a different frequency than the heart, for example.
Yeah.
And it even feels odd. Yeah, when people are acting out of the drives, it feels unnatural. It feels like, but it doesn't feel that you are in the flow, but okay, do it anyways, go, come back. But you know, it doesn't feel right when observed from the side, where actually the natural drives, which is the flow, feel completely, you know, you have no objections to that. So dissonance and resonance is the difference between the mental field and the organic flow. So yeah, hopefully we will find a way to locate.
Literally we are working on this right now to have a frequency tool that will dissolve this without having to go and do ayahuasca, or without having to do a super close to death experience. So yeah, and I'm feeling that we are close to it within a week or two of having that.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. But having spent so much time in dissecting all possible states of consciousness, actually shows that we don't have another lifetime to do it one by one, and maybe at this point it's not even necessary to bring it all up and wash it through, and it can be done in more efficient ways to just align it. Yes, Lisa.
Eve, who's here tonight and today, wherever you are, and another biofield tuner, and we have a group of biofield tuners that gathering more and more people, and we're doing collective tunes, and which I find really interesting with you guys, with what it is that you are going to be producing in a week, saying, you know, cutting through the individual. And it's, you know, when you look at, okay, so we can go into 18 frames, or we can just resonate.
Exactly.
So, and it's with the biofield tuning that we're doing, we all, you know, we start at the same time, we feel into a theme, and it's very solid intention with that theme, tuning human being, tuning earth, tuning, you know, what should it be? Should it relationship with this? But it's absolutely incredible. So I'm really looking forward to, you know, this is like you guys are saying, we don't really have time, not that whatever time space continuum, we actually don't have time. So I think it's very timely that you guys are coming up with elegant solutions to help human beings resonate at beautiful frequencies. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. We will also talk about combining that bioresonance biofield that you're doing. We already mentioned it, but it's time probably to get together about that. So
yes, we have a question.
David.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I have a question actually regarding so the way to go into other states of consciousness. I'm actually pulled up a quote That's by Terence McKenna. After I will ask for your alternative suggestions. But he says, psychedelics are illegal, not because a loving government is concerned, but you may jump out of a third-story window. Psychedelics are illegal because they dissolve opinion structures and culturally lay down models of behavior and information processing. They open you up to the possibility that everything you know is wrong. I actually laugh so much about the last sentence because more and more I explore this world, I feel like everything I knew before is wrong. I was wrong, and I'm finding more and more truth. I think so. Is there to help people get a new perspective on life, to get a new frame of consciousness? I mean, access the higher self beyond psychedelics. What do you think can help them uncover their true self? I think I have discovered one, which is breath work. I guess the situation now, global pandemic with lots of crazy things happening, is another one. What else do you think about? Oh, sorry.
Well, yeah, this is exactly what we are working on, is the very quick and frequency-based tool that to realign and reconnect and kind of just dissolve these frequencies that have been accumulated through years. And they're not temporary as McKenna's mushrooms, but they are actually permanent. So that's what we want.
Yeah, because you know the difference between the psychedelics or plant medicine and dissolving through frequencies is very simple. When you pierce beyond the logical mind and you actually understand that you've got the life wrong, you know, and it's not what it seems like. The problem is not that it's great you have seen the truth for an hour, but the problem is when you come back and you have to live within the mind frame with the information of outside the frame, and that actually jams. And we have seen people literally go crazy because they can't go on with their lives because it just doesn't match. They have seen the truth, but yet they're unable to live differently.
Because what's necessary is to embody first, and second is to activate this new frequency, and then to fully understand from the level of compassion that everybody talking to you from now on will speak nothing by nonsense. And you must be okay with that and understand that this is part of their journey. And this is usually where what we found is where they lose patience and they try to speed up other people's journeys and all this.
Yeah, and getting aggressive. But we're
well, getting actually themselves incarcerated because, you know, they, the society is very aggressive towards people who have completely abandoned all frames of reference that they hold as, you know, legality or, you know, human-made laws and stuff like that. So it takes really a wisdom to be able to exist in that place where you have seen this and still you are able to mingle and co-live with humans in current state.
Where actually dissolving the frames would gradually open up to this higher understanding, more unconditional way of living in every sphere of life.
Yeah, Gail saying that Gail says that as when she starts to detach from the mental frame, she notices the resistance of the people, parents, and so forth, and projecting their limited concepts to you. Of course.
Yeah, because what happens, your frames detach from theirs, and it suddenly is like, oh, they are losing you because those frames that you used to click together, well, they don't anymore. And that's when from 18 frames, if you had 6 in common and suddenly just 3, that makes people, you know, drift away and choose different paths.
Well, and guess from where those judgments come. So they are, okay, so what she can be, she doesn't anymore conform to what we think. Well, she must be, this frame says crazy, so she must be crazy. You see, that's like the level from where they have seen it. They're not going to say, oh, she must be enlightened. because they don't know what enlightenment is, they haven't seen it. Yeah, if they've seen it, then it would be a little different.
And staying in a place of acceptance and neutrality, I presume and I believe that that will be the state, that would be the state without the helmet. Place of acceptance and neutrality. But the real one and not the forced one, I have to stay neutral. You know.
Yeah.
So,
can I ask you something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm wondering about, like, when you talk about psychedelics and then you say it's only temporary. Because in my experience, I went 2016 to the jungle where I worked with the ayahuasca for a month, and it really helped me dramatically, in a sense that before that I would, because I know like what you're saying about this helmet and about this really like very tight mind structure, so I was suffering through them because they were always leading me to a place of heavy depression where I wouldn't really see a way out. And then after a month working with plant medicines, they changed my perspective on my life so drastically and dramatically that ever since I never had any depression anymore. So that's why I know when it's only like one off, then I'll totally agree it's temporary, because it's very easy to slip back to the old ways. But in my experience, like working with it for a longer time, like for a month, you know, and it was often like every night a ceremony, so it was like, you know, very intense. It really helped me immensely, right? So that's why I kind of here struggle with this temporary, yeah. So maybe.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It is one of the ways now to really peek out and see what's outside. And there's no doubt that it restructures the structure of like mind, body, and spirit in a certain way. So
yeah, we don't have any particular judgment around the psychedelics. It's a way, and for every person it works in different speed. So we know someone, you know, a Swiss businessman that had to do like 50 ayahuasca trips to actually get to start changing, yet he still has frames around him. So he has changed his inner kind of convictions, but he's still moving around with a full set of frames. But it makes him feel better, for sure.
So, and we haven't even gotten to the place to speak about the spirits of the plants and the spirits that actually can jump in while these things are happening. So, you know, we are keeping it safe. We don't even go there right now, but that's another possibility. Tai wanted to add something.
Yeah, can I make a comment? Actually, my sister, she moved to the Amazon forest. She was studying there. And by then she was like a very happy, cheerful person. Like everyone would love to be close to her. And she got this boyfriend, and he used to drink ayahuasca. He was from Santo Daime. Since he was a baby, he would get like even the drops. So he was used to it. And my sister experiences what we're facing now, like almost 10 years later, is that of course mixing it up, she was using it for like several years and mixing it up with weed and this kind of stuff. She just got lost, you know. She was admitted in a hospital several times. This year she was there for a month, and it's really weird because I talked to my sister and I see in her eyes that she's completely different. So it really makes sense to me what you mentioned. I remember in the beginning she said, oh, I had this experience and I saw this and that, but she just disconnected, and now she cannot connect to the real world. It's really difficult to talk to her because she just can't. So it makes sense when you mentioned that what did you say, that it's just temporary and it's very difficult to come back. When they come back to the bubble, since it's not permanent, I see the struggle now. So I think it's not, I've seen many people saying, oh, it's great for me and it worked and I loved the experience, but it's not a rule, yeah, right?
Yes.
every person literally we have met has their own experience, and for some it has been really the time and the journey and the moment to do it.
And thank you, Sai, for sharing.
And for some, it's just they did it because others did, you know, maybe she didn't need it, or it was not the right moment and she was dragged into it by the boyfriend. And that's just not, she had experience which was not, you know, the most beneficial for her, and it will take a longer time for her to get back. Where another person might, you know, have done already the inner work, and then they go and try ayahuasca, and suddenly everything makes sense. We have seen just everything, also the possessions that come through it, literally everything.
So literally,
from
like
super, that was the right thing, from super, that was not the right thing at all.
To like possessions that are really difficult to deal with, because they are holding, you know, the whole
foreign spirits,
hosting like number of foreign spirits. And it depends so much on who does the ceremony and what's present there, and maybe whether in which framework it is done.
And the integration of it.
Integration, yeah.
So if, like for you, Anna, maybe you had a good integration, that's someone that actually helps you land back and incorporate the knowledge in the life. So that is essential, that it's not just a quick trip and that's it, and then you deal with.
Absolutely. I wanted to say I totally agree with it, because I have been on the, you know, like inner work, like doing inner work, yoga teacher training, meditation, reading a lot about psychology for many, many years before I even tried, right? So before I drank ayahuasca. So for me, it wasn't like just one-off thing and I don't do anything beyond that. I did lots of inner work before. So that's why I think I had a different psychological preparation to be able to deal with these different worlds, right? And I totally agree. When someone is totally unexperienced and then goes into that, I mean, it's not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, wonderful. Any other questions for the structure? Well, what we actually really want to find is what could be the vibrational ayahuasca. And Lisa, if you have any ideas, please, you're very welcome. The vibrational ayahuasca that actually in a very safe way take people outside of themselves, and then, you know, that layer of interference is actually diminishes every time that they go back in and out in a more safe way into the space of the real being, back to their frames, then again out and in, and gradually just the barrier dissolves and you don't need that safety bubble anymore.
Yeah, it's like allowing that frequency without the violence of the purge.
Exactly.
Yeah, how to really gently allow that process to take place. That's really fascinating, actually. Yeah.
Without the violence of the purge, exactly, because the abrupt removing all that you have known about yourself, about the world, how it's built, what's true, can be psychologically immensely damaging. So
because that's one of the things with that I find with biofield tuning is that when we tune a person, the body will only give us what the body can deal with. And that's not to say people do go through full-on detox reactions, but nothing like the kind of reactions that you get from these purgative plant medicines. Yeah.
The purging, yes, it's unpleasant, but it is the least of the problems for somebody who has kind of been removed all of their frames of reference, and plus got infested with some sort of spirit. So this is even more purging. Okay, by itself, I don't think that this is the biggest obstacle. But what we want to do is to really come up with an elevator, frequency elevator, where you go up and down the frequencies at will. And then, you know, you can come back down and operate on this level, and then go up and operate on the higher level, and actually almost like have a button to which frequencies you want to attune to. So this is how I see that this should be working. Well, anyway, any other ideas, questions? What would you like to share about what we have just talked about?
Can I ask, what have you done as far as how far are you with alchemizing? Have you alchemized into water? Have you put the different plant medicines into the water, or you?
It's not going to work through the plant medicine. It's just going to work through frequencies, and it's going to work.
Yeah, so you with the because you guys are amazing with alchemizing the frequency. So have you alchemized? Have you put the frequency of different plant medicines into a substrate yet? Have you played around with doing that?
That's what we're looking at exactly at the moment. Do we want to use the plant medicine, or do we want to use the body's own frequency, you know?
This is what I'm liking. It's like the plant medicine it has its own special frequency, and it's like, well, the tobacco is all plants are an amazing medicine if you choose to go for 6 months and focus on that plant. But why aren't we tuning in with the innate body frequency?
Yeah,
and
because it's energy. It's
Mm-hmm.
just energy. Even the worst frames and wounds is just energy. And while it's ours, it's the easiest for us to change what belongs to us. As long as we know where it is and what it is, and what we can name, we can own, and what we can own, we can transmute. So we're looking more into that.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I just wanted to say I'm already super excited about this project. I just had this inner feeling, like ever since I remember when I started discovering my own mind and these programs and this frames. I was like, there must be a way to like go through them, like and I wasn't able to find it for myself. So I'm super excited about your project. Cannot wait.
Of course, we will share it as soon as it's there.
And everybody will be able to try.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, the only tool for transformation that we have is, shamanic journeys or meditations through the heart, and it does really loosen some of these frames. But it's.
Then we are back to them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. So I guess that's what we had for today. So let us know if there are some more questions, comments.
On here.
Yes.
We see you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting thing, as I have been playing with ayahuasca and some other medicines. It's been very helpful in my journey. But now when I have discovered Bufo, that's a different kind of a thing. It's much more less taxing to the nervous system, like ayahuasca really can be. It feels like you are embodying the higher self or the higher aspects, and it shows you that, and you really live through that. So your cells start to remember and know what's actually possible, what you really are. That's how I kind of see that. And when you access that, you don't need that medicine anymore. You become the medicine after that, and your sound and your presence and everything. That's how I see it now. I don't know if it resonates, or use that as a tool to remember, kind of, and then then when you know, kind of in a deeper level.
Yeah. Exactly. It's very important what you're saying, Anna, because this is going to what we just said, that using our own energy is the best and the safest way for transformations. And actually that remembering gives that frequency that otherwise is inaccessible. So that is the frequency that we want to use to dissolve any outer fields. So remembering, when you can catch that and somehow identify it and fix, that's what we will use to transform anything that's less than it. Exactly.
Thank you, Anna.
which is basically coming back to the source code of every person. Imagine when you come to this world, your galactic code is somewhat of a barcode, you know. It's like really like a geometry that's uniquely yours. Your finger, it manifests in your fingerprints and your kind of pattern of the hair, yeah, which are completely, and the pattern of your eyes. So that is a barcode which is uniquely yours. So if we can locate the barcode of each person within their own DNA, dormant or not dormant, that is that memory of the real self that can be awakened and then spread as a new reality. So what you accessed was actually your source code.
Mm. Gail. Yes, Gail, you wanted to add?
Yeah, I wanted to add something about ayahuasca because I also did it, and I resonate so much with what Anne just said right now, because I couldn't put it into words, but it has helped me access that divinity that was already in me, that spark of light that's part of the divine light. And so a few months after the ayahuasca retreat, we met this a guy who is part of a Native American tribe, and then he explained to us, which is quite a bit surprising, how he just suddenly talked about it. He said every single plant has a spirit, and the moment that the plant spirit sings to you is the moment that the plant actually offers healing. So the plant spirit will offer the healing, but it's depending on how you receive that kind of healing. If you resist, then I think that's when some issues might arise, and which actually something that I observed with someone that I was in the ceremony with. So yeah, but it's definitely different experiences for each people, but it all depends on how we take it. And I guess what Evia said, the coding that's in us. So yeah, it's different, and it's altogether a very beautiful tool, because the plants is a direct channel to the divinity, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Gail. This is an interesting and valid perspective, and this is how shamans see it. And what we try to do, you see, shamans do have a certain perspective, but at some level, shamanic perspective is also limited to what they know and what
it's one of their frames
that
exactly they've been born with.
Well, not just born, but educated with, and that kind of conforms with the tradition of that tribe and so forth. And what we are trying to see is how about that without even that frame? Because already through alchemy and magic and, this little bit higher levels of spiritual work, we see shamanism as some sub-branch of spiritual work that is, there's so much more, so much above it as well. So that it's all about really having a sophisticated enough cosmology and understanding what is really happening. That's that's from which place we are approaching this. So but yeah, Julie says yes, completely agree. The less we resist, the more we are alive. Exactly.
Yes, that's universal rule.
Thank you, Gail, for that.
Paste it on the wall.
Yes.
The less you resist, the more easy things go, of course.
Yeah.
Uwe and Anna, some last words.
Yeah, I wanted to say also something, since we have heard so much about plant medicine. Vittoria, you told us in the beginning that really long or deep meditation. So I also did a deep meditation, and I want to just also confirm that I did a Pova meditation. It's very similar to Vipassana. So it took 7 days and 9 hours of meditation per day. So it was very intense, and I also had, it was, Pova is a Buddhistic meditation, so it's a conscious dying process actually. And I had an outer body experience, and it was very, 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 very strong, you know. And I think meditation is just another, and I wanted to mention that meditation is just another option, and really deep meditation to experience the same or similar things, but with a different method. And I think it is absolutely valid, and I can only highly recommend to meditate with a lot of people for very deep meditation. And yeah, it is the same experience.
Yeah.
Thank you, Uwe.
Meditation, meditation plans, flow state, death, and shock. That are the options available for us now.
Uh-huh. Beautiful.
So we wanted to craft a special meditation, but we need to test run it before. So something that will take you closer to the state of being super alive and feeling yourself out of mind. We will probably put it next week. We have to craft it word by word so that it actually matches the frequencies. So we won't do the meditation today, but in your, in a week to contemplate, really give it a thought or a feeling rather, to recognize what are those frames around your head and what are your favorite ways to actually use the heart frequency to pierce right through it. So give
at least recognize it, recognize which is acting in any given moment. This is the beginning. We recognize them, so then we can dissolve them. Okay, beautiful people. Well,
can I just say one more thing? So what you said just then was really beautiful. So you're saying we're using the heart frequency to pierce it. There's been so much language here that's talking about this externalization of the experience, grabbing the experience from an external source, whereas the experience is absolutely essential to be available as coming from the internal.
Yeah.
That's awesome, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what we truly believe, and that's why we're trying to find our own ways that are available at any given moment and not depending on a place, person, or circumstances.
Yeah, pierce the frames and dissolve it from within rather than.
Yes.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Let me just remind you once again, we spoke about this last time. Solar system, everything we see outside is outside and inside. And you have both ways to access it. You can take a rocket and go travel to Jupiter, or you can take meditation and go in it inside and touch it. It's literally like a mirror. All as above, so below. All is inside as well. At all times, yeah? So thank you, Lisa, for reminder.
No, thank you.
Okay, beautiful as well. Giving you all a big hug, sending you lots of love from here. And
thank you for joining.
Thank you for
sharing. And Hannah, all our love to you and your dengue condition.
Oh yeah, Hannah, take care.
Infusing a beautiful frequency.
Thank you so much. Beautiful again.
So very, very welcome. Holding you in our hearts till the next week when we meet again, same time, same screen, and stay well and in the heart till then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye, Europe.
Good night, Bali.
Good night, Bali. Exactly.